Hey guys, Brendan here. Today I thought I'd talk about investing more into yourself. And so what I mean by that is this past weekend I went on a micro adventure. And so this thing was completely unplanned. I managed to get off time off of work last minute. They gave it to me 2 extra days added on to my weekend. And so I went on a long road trip, about 1,500 kilometers, went through the Rockies in Alberta, and stretched into BC, and then back into Alberta. And none of it was planned. I was really just going with the wind. Everything was just whatever was decided in that moment. And I regret none of it. And it was so vital for my mental health, and it just showed me what life really is truly about. And so I thought I'd share a little bit of my adventure with you guys to explain that, you know, with all the bad news going on in the world, and you know, people being glued to their screens like your phone right now, and just being chronically online, like, guilty is charged. You know, like I am always on my phone, always on social media, always just glued to whatever news is going to come out. And we're on it too much. You know, I'm on it too much. And you know, if you can go on a micro adventure, which I highly recommend. Micro ventures are really important. You don't necessarily have to afford for a vacation, but just go somewhere not even that far away from your home for a few days. It doesn't have to be overly expensive. It's just so important for that mental clarity, and then also grounding you, keeping you present in the moment, which is something I've been terrible with for the past few years. Like, the past few years, I've been struggling with PTSD because I almost lost my life a few times, and I didn't know how to cope with it. And so I was constantly not present. I was constantly thinking about the future, constantly thinking about what's going to kill me, what's going to pop around the corner, and there goes my life. And because of that, it put me in a state of survival mode, and I haven't really been able to enjoy my life all that much. And so I understand that's what a lot of people are feeling right now, while constantly being online and constantly being exposed to the news, and it's doing a lot of detriment for people's mental health. And you know, when you put down the phone, when you put down the news articles, and just be where you are in the moment. You know, I'm in my work van surrounded by trees, and it's nice and pleasant, even if there's something terrible going on halfway across the world. So it's so important just to, you know, reset yourself. If you can go into the mountains where there's no service and you're not online, great. all that much better. And then the more plans that you have that are unpredictable or not scheduled, the better, I think, because it makes for a more memorable experience. And so you have more of these memorable experiences that you can pull out of the chest that is your life experiences, and use them as stories into the future. You know, like a year or two ago, the Brennan I was then would have been absolutely terrified to go camping by myself, and that guy would have been freaking out the entire time that he was going to be eaten by a bear. And so, not to say I wasn't freaked out on this trip, but I was definitely a lot more open to experiencing the unpredictability of life, and being able to handle it in that moment if it were to arrive. And so not to say I wasn't scared during the trip, but I was more willing to overcome the fear. And so I think that's what a lot of people are struggling with nowadays, is overcoming the fear and, you know, straying away from being in a zone of comfort into a zone of being uncomfortable. And so it's so important to be uncomfortable, as I'm starting to re-experience and starting to put myself back out there into the world. And then it's something a lot more people need to be doing. Like on this trip, I actually experienced a part where there was my tent was set up right next to a lake, and I could hear maybe 50 feet away from me there was a big animal. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just somebody fucking with me. But this thing was trudging along in the mud that separates the lake from the shore, and you could tell this thing was like pretty, I wouldn't say stuck, but this thing was moving pretty like slow as it was digging its feet into the mud and pulling it back out. And so I was sketched out the entire time, and this thing eventually did come to pass, but it wasn't enough for me to like pack up my bags and call the end of the trip there. In fact, I ended up going for another 2 days after that, because you know, just because something scary and fearful happened in that moment doesn't mean every other day after that is going to be the same. And so, you know, taking that chance by making yourself vulnerable is absolutely something that's got to be done, where people just need to take more chances and take more risks, because the risks, you know, sometimes they don't work out, but lots of other times they sure do. Like right now, when I make this video or I post on this YouTube channel, like making content is very uncomfortable for me, but I do it anyway because I know it's good for my personal growth. And you know, there may be some videos I release that are considered risky for my my well-being and my reputation, but it's most of the time I should be okay every time I release a video, and so far it has been okay. And the more I release videos, the more of a compound effect I start to realize on this channel. Like I've been almost pretty consistent over the last year of just releasing videos, and just since the start of this year, January 2026, this channel has gained 13,000 views, which that's incredible for me. I wouldn't have got there if I wasn't, you know, releasing more, being uncomfortable, putting myself out there. And so, you know, as scary as, you know, taking a micro adventure is, a micro trip, or releasing a video every week or two, you know, I know that's the way to push forward. That's the way to start living life more. And so I think hopefully, you know, making videos like this will be able to inspire others to keep going and stop straying away from being uncomfortable, because the goal is to be uncomfortable. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Like this video if you agree with the message of it, and comment down below how you've made yourself uncomfortable this week. And if you haven't made yourself uncomfortable this week, then explain what you're going to do into the future to make yourself uncomfortable. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.